Hello, hi, my name is Okasa and I'm a constant stream of consciousness. And I will, one moment, because I got to make sure that it's actually starting. I know there's going to be a bit of a lag. I got my laptop. No, this is my laptop. I got my phone. I was just live on TikTok because I was going to promote my live. And then I lost track of time because I was like, I am going to, yes, okay, it's showing up. I lost track of time because I was like, I need to send it to a Discord. And then I also need, I'll find it. Don't worry. I need to organize a couple of things. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep it up for the people who come later. And this is my live. This is my video. This is my discussion. I am ready. Okay, so let me start again. I'm going to oh yeah, I have a script. I was looking through my script. I was practicing. So I'm already, like, my brain has already been warmed up. I'm excited. Okay. Hello, my name is Wakasa and I'm a constant stream of consciousness. In today's live, we will be discussing how the dynamics in Femcel media is very boy mom coded, but the boy is a daughter and the mom is a lover. Metaphorically. Well, the symbolism I have chosen to discuss reflects our current culture of loserdom and abuse. So, of course, where's my okay. Of course, trigger warning, bastardizations of intimacy. That is my little soft way of explaining that something that is innocent, something that is beautiful, something that is pure can be corrupted by perverts, right? So, yeah. The actual inspiration for this video, I got two. Well, no, I have one inspiration that's like gonna tie it all together low key, but then also I've been alluding to this for a while. This photo. Also, I can't check if the audio is good. Y'all let me know. Oh my God, what if it's bad? Excuse me, one moment, please. Y'all can hear me? It's good? I'm coming out. Hello? Okay, the inspiration for this video is this exact profile picture. I am in Interview with a Vampire Twitter Spaces. I will always dead name it. But I said something and people liked it, and then I saw someone like my post that had this profile picture, and I was like, oh wait, there's a lot of symbolic connections here. So it's Cersei Lannister and Lestat de Lioncourt. I think it's alluding to the fact that Sam Reed, the actor for Lestat de Lioncourt, could easily play Jaime Lannister, right? And what's interesting about Jaime Lannister is that I've seen him be compared to Prince Charming from Shrek. And then Shrek was also compared to Clavicular in a video that I watched. I haven't finished it yet, but it's just more so, like, there's already a line of inceldom. And in fact, Jaime Lannister was supposed to swear off being ever having children. Like, he was supposed to completely devote his life to the crown, essentially choosing celibacy. Like, you're supposed to be celibate. In fact, that's part of the House of the Dragon, Christian, whatever, the guy who ended up killing. I just know I hate him, but then also he was hooking up with, what's her name? The queen. Not Rhaenyra, the Targaryen, her Alicent. Started hooking up with Alicent because he's an incel. Oh my God, he's an incel. But yeah, we're already associating incel thought, right? Jaime Lannister, Prince Charming, Clavicular. But also how Knights of the Kingdom, or whatever you call them, are supposed to swear off sex to devote their life to the king. Oh, choosing celibacy, which I have a definition for celibacy. But then also, I think it's sort of alluding to the actress for Cersei, Lena Headey. Lena Headey could easily play Gabrielle, right? So I'm alluding to it, but I am talking about how the symbolism, or like the similarities in their story, is incestuous. But not only that, the House Lannister, the Lannister family, are known for being golden lions, right? And then Lestat's name is Lioncourt. So there is both lion imagery and then also incest imagery. But I would argue that I don't think these are mutually exclusive. So I alluded to it. Oh, hopefully you'll get to hear it. Oh my God, I didn't double check if the audio can be heard. I alluded to this in my other video. Exactly. This is something I've been sitting on for a while because I was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to organize it. It's been heavy on my heart and I'm finally ready. So, Leo, the astrological lion, right? Oh, someone's in here. Hello, hi. It's good. Yep. Okay, thank you. How about this audio? Should I raise it up a bit? Because I do know like sometimes I have my headphones and it's capturing my headphone volume and I keep my volume low. So y'all let me know that too. But yeah, Leo is the astrological lion. It is also alchemically linked to gold. And then its planetary body is the sun. Now, the sun in your chart is literally supposed to symbolize yourself, the concept of self. And this does tie to the fact why people find Leos a bit narcissistic. Now, I said this in another video where I'm like, we're all narcissists, but when we talk about narcissism, we're talking about the personality disorder. But in a lot of ways, the sun in your chart has to do with how you present yourself to the world. And in a lot of ways, Leos are very unwavering and very confident in how they present themselves. And to, I guess, unconfident people or insecure people, that can register as narcissistic, but really they just love and know themselves. Because knowing yourself, to be known is to be loved. So Leos know themselves, right? Which, now that I say that, we're going to get to it. Let me write it down just so I don't forget. To be loved is to be known. Because it's an innuendo. It's a biblical innuendo. Biblical innuendo. Okay, but then also it's connected to the number, like numerologically, it's connected to the number 1. And 1 is the most simple number you can ever get. It's a very simple number, and I do think the word simple, simplify, simple, is going to be very important to like the concepts that I'm going to be discussing. It's also connected to the concept of bright hair. I don't know where I can find the source, but my cousin did say that, hey, if you have luminary placements in your chart, which is Leo or Cancer, you should go for lighter color hair. Like you would look really good with light colored hair. So like if your ascendant, if your sun, and if your moon is in Cancer or Leo, like try blonde, try red hair, having bright hair. And also those are recessive traits. And then a group of lions is called a pride, and pride is a 7 deadly sin. So now we get to talk about narcissism, because narcissism comes from a Greek myth about Narcissus, who was cursed to fall in love with his own reflection, and he would just sit there for hours watching himself, and then he starved to death, right? So it's like this concept, it's like it is a warning about not being so self-absorbed with yourself. But then also, I think this is one of the first examples of a story being about self-cest. Oh, should I read? You can't hear it? Very apologetic about themselves. Oh no, you can't hear it. Let me go back real quick. And then I'm gonna put the volume all the way up. It's all the way up. Hello. One moment. I think I know what I did wrong. Excuse me. I got too many wires. That's the wrong one. Oopsies. Property. And then I just won't put it in my ears. And then USB or headphones. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Yes. I want to make sure that you can hear my audio though. So like learning experience, just checking. Hey. Well, it's not playing.
But Leo reminds me of incest. Something about like, there's only this circle, nothing out, right? It's just me. Or like,
Hopefully you can hear that. Okay, just to make sure. So, okay, I think Narcissus, the story of Narcissus is like one of the first examples of self-cest, which is like the concept of being self-absorbed, like, so, well, no. Self-cest is specifically when someone has another version of themselves and then they fall in love and they hook up. And I think a lot of people are very uncomfortable with self-cest stories because it's a hop, skip, and a jump away from incest. Because the truth is that another version of you, you can literally find another version of you in your siblings. You can find another version of you within your parents. Because as much as it's like, I want to make it very definitive that you are not your parents, you are your own self, right? We are all reflections of each other, but like a more almost like apples to apples. I love that phrase. A more apples to apples comparison of another version of you is, okay, you can hear it now. Another apples to apples comparison to I'm gonna find it, of yourself, like an actual reflection of yourself, is your parents, is your siblings, is family, right? So in a lot of ways, self-cest comes off as very incestuous, like it does. And I do think, like, now I want to bring up the concept of the uncanny, because I do think specifically self-cest and how it mirrors, but it's not exactly incest. It has to do with like the definition of uncanny. So let me read that. Oh, I think I might have brought, oh, I've missed some things. Oopsies. According to Wikipedia, the uncanny is the psychological experience of an event or a thing that is unsettling in a way that feels oddly familiar rather than simply mysterious. And also the word familiar, I'm so sure familiar and family come from the same phrase. Don't quote me. Well, you can quote me on that. I might be wrong though. And then lastly, I wanted to bring up how I think, because I one day I'll figure out how to exactly to bring this up. But Icarus and the story of Icarus and the story of Narcissus literally are the same story, but just a tad bit different. What I will say is that potentially Narcissus is more so a story that connects to the other luminary sign, which is Cancer, and then Icarus specifically is more closely to Leo, the other luminary sign, because they got too close to the sun. And I do think that's sort of kind of the point of like self-cest or even incest, where it's just like you're too close, like you flew too close to the sun, you fell in love too close to home, like that's just not normal. Or even the phrase, because let me find it, you girl boss too close to the sun, like something about like you just, it's too close, it's too eerie, it's familiar in a way that it's familiar. Like I would even say, like in the case of Lestat and Gabrielle, and we haven't even seen any of the clips for real, the dynamic between a mother and a child is very familiar. Most of us are raised by a mother, and we know how it feels to be loved by your mother. Where it gets very uncanny, very eerie, is when you start seeing something you're like, that's not the dynamic between a mother and child. That's more of a dynamic between lovers. It's familiar. It's still eerie. Yeah. Let me read real quick. Yep, people who get with partners who can pass as their siblings. Oh, yes, there's going to be a part about siblings or dating. So then I wanted to talk about how Narcissus, it has to do with the story of being self-absorbed and how being self-absorbed is a bit self-destructive. I said in my last live about Pluto when I brought another Ouroboros, where in a lot of ways, snakes, when they eat themselves like this, they do end up dying if they don't register that what they're consuming is themselves. And it also does mirror the concept of an implosion. And then also I made a video about our narcissism is inbreeding our culture, but I might change it to imploding our culture. But the reason I might want to refilm that video is because I wish I had honed in on like the concept that I think is the most important is diversity. That we need diverse thought, that we need diverse experiences, that we like, yes, we're all reflections of each other, but when we're now sort of kind of slipping into like this whole conformity mindset, or like someone needs to be a direct reflection of you, that's like asking someone to be your clone, and there is no genetic diversity in that. And at some point, that's very inbreedy, like not like metaphorically, it's very inbreedy, and that can only result in an implosion. And then also a star at the end of its life will either explode or implode one day. Well, I did it on TikTok, but I don't feel like actually doing it again. I will discuss what I think what I think an explosion is when it comes to the end of a star's life, but the sun is a star, so it either is going to explode or implode. And I do think I understand how implosion literally is like literally reflects the concept of inbreeding, because they just keep folding in on themselves, and eventually they just like in a cartoon where they might get hit with a ray and then they just start like folding, and like they start coming into themselves, and at some point they just go pop and they like no longer exist. It's just like the concept of inbreeding is that you keep folding into yourself until you're no longer fertile, like the family lineage is no longer fertile, so you literally cease to exist. But I do think implosion might be more like it's because an explosion is like, okay, it is also pretty violent, but I think that's more natural in the astrological world, astronomical, galactic world than an implosion, because I'm so sure an implosion literally causes black holes, which is infinitely destructive, where at least an explosion, it's the one and done, and then it dissipates all over the place, and then they might come back together. Circle of life. And I don't know where I'm going to get to talk about Lion King, because it's not on here, but Lion King. Okay, but also it's more so the concept of like shitting where you're eating, where it's just like there needs to be distinct, diverse. Actually, there was more. I was gonna talk about heirloom or like purebred cattle or whatever, like purebred animals, heirloom cattle, where it's just like to organize, right? To organize the continuing of their lineage is sort of kind of participating in inbreeding those species. And no, I don't think I can find it, but I did have something about that. I'll get to it one day. But yeah, it does make me think about like the concept of shitting where you're eating, where it's like, no, you need a space to use the restroom, and then you also need a place to eat, and then you also need a place to sleep. Like, you can't have it all be one place. Okay, Mary had a little lamb. Oh, hello, hi. Let me just read real quick. Yep, like people who get with, yep. The sun equals source, our parents. Yeah, too close to the sun makes sense. Yay! Oh, hi, num nums. Oh, it's Naomi. Okay. Yeah, it's so normalized between mother and son, and it becomes a subject of discourse lately. Yup. That's why I'm just like, the femcel is literally the female son. Like, this is boy mom territory. Also, it makes your familial recessive gene become dominant, making your future children more prone to health issues. And I did bring up blonde hair. I'm gonna figure out a way to segue it into blue eyes. Actually, I think that was the part that I was gonna get to, but then I didn't. Do I go back? Do I talk about it? Because it has to do with heirloom cattle or heirloom livestock, and then also pure breed dogs. And I can almost commend it, because there's a level of organization that you have to go through to produce them, but also technically you're inbreeding them, and at some point there, like, it won't be sustainable. And that's where, like, I mean, I have a theory about our food consumption, but I'll find another video about that. I'll film another video about that. We'll see. But more so just like you should intermingle. Like, I understand that it's like, oh, we need the specific species because this is the good one, but like, no, actually I think I know exactly what it is. It's nihilistic nostalgia, in a way where it's like you want to freeze in time in this exact time, but really you're supposed to expand. This body will never exist again. And I think if I had descendants that are like, no, we need to find a way to continue this exact brand of vessel, instead of evolving and expanding and discovering new innovations of what we could be as a people, instead of trying to freeze it at, well, we love this ancestor, we need to be tied to this ancestor, we need the features of this ancestor. Like, that's what it makes me think with heirloom or pure breed dogs or whatever. Like, you're trying to freeze the species at a point. It's like a nihilistic, self-destructive, imploding, inbreeding nostalgia. Okay, Mary had a little lamb. So the tarot card that is associated with Leo is the Strength card. And as you can see, there is a lion, but also there is a guest star, and this is technically Virgo. So also there's an infinite sign over here. I don't know why. I haven't heard someone explain that to me. One day someone will explain that to me, but I was just talking about the Ouroboros and the implosion or whatever. Interesting. But yeah, there is a guest star, and it's literally a Madonna child motif because she's taking care of her baby. It's either that she's like caressing him. I think she's caressing him, like taking care of her child. In a lot of ways, because I didn't bring it up, the fifth house. The fifth house is associated with Leo, and the fifth house has to do with creativity and also children. So the Leo is the baby, and then this also connects to the Sun card, which has the golden child. But yes, what was I saying? There's a guest star. It is literally a Madonna and child. And another Madonna and child that I think about is Mary, Mother Mary, and Jesus Christ, her little lamb, which apparently that's not where this came from. It's from the 1800s or something. But I do think like, hey, like these synastries in our culture, Mary had a little lamb. Jesus is the Lamb of God, right? Also, Jesus is the Lion of Judah. Right. But then I think about how Virgo is connected to is the virgin. Virgo is the virgin, and Mary was Virgin Mary, and she had immaculate conception. And essentially, if Mary had no interaction with a man to make Jesus, there was no other genetic variation for her to make Jesus. So Jesus is essentially a clone. And that would also add a level of gender queerness that either Mary is intersex or Jesus is transgender. Either Mary has a Y chromosome just dormant in her body, but she presents as female, or Jesus Christ was born AFAB and transitioned. But yeah, then another thing, there was a song that I sung in high school during Christmas time called "There Is No Rose." I think the version. Oh, I should have linked it down below. It's by a guy named Dan something. I sing it all the time. There is no rose of such virtue. And pretty much it's about how Mary was chosen to bear Jesus Christ because she was a virtuous or she was a pure woman, which again, virginity, purity, culture, all of that. But also roses are flowers, and flowers are often understood as producing asexually. And this is where I have a video linked down below about symbology of Virgo. Virgo is associated with ritual gooning, okay? And we can see it in other stories. I don't remember which one. I think it's an African god where he literally, sprayed, and it made the mountains and the scenery, and then it also made life forms. So he by himself, all by himself, he produced life, right? Then also the rose toy being a self-pleasuring device, and it's a rose. Right. I saw that synergy. I said, oh, you think you're slick. I saw it. That's why I think it got really popular. I think in a lot of ways when people tap into the synastry about their name or their motifs or their family lineage, the universe will reward them. Making a self-pleasuring device that is a rose, a flower, asexual reproduction. But then also Mary, which is symbolically Virgo. Someone argued with me in the comments when I was just like, hey, like Virgo, Madonna whore. No, they're like, no, why are you mixing mythology? Like this is Judo-Christian and this is Greek mythology. And I was like, oh, like I don't think you understand that we all go to sleep under the same stars. Like they're synastries that we're all connected to. Anyways, then this also makes me think of Isis because, okay, right, I said the last time I made a video about Virgo and Scorpio, I called it Madonna and whore, but also Virgo and Scorpio is a relationship between Hades and Persephone, Hades being Scorpio, Persephone being Virgo, but then also Isis and Osiris being Scorpio, Isis being Virgo, and how there's a story about Osiris losing his 14th piece, his penis, and how Isis had to use magic to create a new piece for him so that they could make another life. And I remember before I knew all the details, I was like, well, if she had the son with her baby, I mean, if she had her son with her husband, my bad, but that's technically on topic. If she had her son with her husband, then that's not immaculate conception. It's immaculate conception because he's missing pieces, but then she created the piece, so it is immaculate. It's magical. But then also, and because Scorpio is a female, or like it's a femme placement, it's a yin placement, I'm going to actually need to start seeing depictions of Hades and Persephone as two girls, or butch and femme. And in fact, even Isis, because Osiris has a strap, right? Correct? Y'all following me? This is getting very queer. I need y'all to understand. Happy Pride Month. When I think I said in my intro, right? No, I didn't. I changed it. My old intro was just like, yeah, something is very genderqueer about femcel and incelhood. Yeah, there's something very just interesting. And some of them are good motifs, some of them are not good. Right, right. Oh, let me read. Mm-mm-mm-mm. It also, oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really do. The concept of being pure anything genetically makes no sense either, since our ancestors were most likely migrating and were most likely the result of different types of people merging. Exactly. This, like that word simplify. Oh, I'm gonna get to it because it's even something that I struggle with, where it's just like I think that human migration is simple, and therefore, if it's simple, then obviously at some point everyone ends up being related. No, human migration, human procreation has always been complex because there have always been diverse people. Yeah. Anyways, I've now been able to connect lions and roses, and I just wanted to bring up how I don't watch Steven Universe. I watched the first season. I've seen the critiques of Steven Universe. I can understand how people still enjoy it. I've seen the symbolism. There's even a depiction of Greg when Stephen was born, and he has the hood with the blue, and Mary Magdalene's colors are gold, white, and blue. So they do play with these motifs. But then also, what I think about is like how people, it irks me, right? How people really do see their children as an extension of themselves. Not particularly her, but how everyone does not really understand that Steven is his own person. He is not Pink Diamond. He is not Rose Quartz. In a lot of ways, sort of kind of imposing that my child is me or is an extension of me can be very harmful to the child. Because he gets mistreated by people because they're like, oh, you're just playing, stop playing this game, Rose. Not Rose, Pink Diamond. And he's not playing, he doesn't know what y'all are talking about. But yeah. Okay, wait, I have it back. Reflection of oh, okay, the last part that I was going to say. Yes, we are all reflections of each other. Yes, but you have to remember that they are their own person. A reflection is an object. You have to remember that this is an actual person. Stephen is his own person. He is not his mother. But also, Stephen is Immaculate Conception. Yeah. Okay. So I made this whole script, and at last minute I realized I did not have a definition for a femcel. So what is a femcel? According to Collins Dictionary, it is a slang word for a woman who professes to be frustrated by the lack of opportunities to find a sexual partner. It comes from two words, female and incel. Incel literally was coined by a woman, which is odd because now incel is only like it's only ever directly associated with men, but it was coined by a woman, and it literally comes from the phrase involuntarily celibate. Now, what is celibacy? What is celibate? Okay, according to Wikipedia, celibacy is the state of voluntarily being, so it's an oxymoron. Ooh, I love the phrase oxymoron. Moronic. But yeah, is a state of voluntarily being unmarried, sexually abstinent, I'm not finding it, abstinent, or both. It is often in association with the role of religious officials or devotees in its narrow sense. The term celibacy is applied only to those for whom the unmarried state is the state of a sacred vow, act of renunciation, or religious conviction. In a wider sense, it is commonly understood to only mean abstinence from sexual activity. So this does go back to what I was talking about, the knights in Game of Thrones, when they literally swear off making a family so that they can serve the crown. It is like a devotion, like they swear off sex, they choose celibacy to study more. And okay, so now let me find where I was. The Hermit card is associated with Virgo. Yes. A hermit apparently does not come from the Greek god Hermes, but I'm one of those booba kiki type people where it's just like, no, I do think there's a reason why these sound familiar, even if it's not directly associated. There's a reason why they ended up being familiar, right? But when I think of hermits, I think of reclusive scholars, people who choose a life of solitude, isolation, so that they can study. And in a lot of ways, Virgo gives very nerdy girl to me. Let me find it. Let me find it because it's in here. Virgo, the nerdy girl, is a very nerdy girl to me, which in our classic Y2K media gets no play. So like, yeah, like the girl with the glasses and maybe she has greasy hair, or like she dresses more modestly instead of like, showing her assets. So like she's the nerdy girl and she's ugly, but she's not ugly because once she takes off her glasses, she's gorgeous. Ooh, even the braces. But yeah, it's just more so like that classic Y2K media where it's like there's the popular girl and then there's the nerdy girl. Virgo is the nerdy girl. And now that I say this, ooh, I finally found my place to say this. So I said Hades, Persephone, Osiris, Isis. If I say Jennifer's body and needy, if I say Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, and especially since I said, hey, Virgo, Scorpio, that's Madonna whore. I said Butch Femme. Make Virgo the Butch. Make Virgo the Femme too. I don't care. I'm just saying, I see it. You see it. Ah, oh, ah, oh. You see it when you look to me. I didn't want this power. I did. Okay, but yes, isolation, Virgo. The Hermit card is often associated with introspection and isolation, like choosing isolation. I did talk about it, I think, in my No Man is an Island, where hermitry is like an actual spiritual practice. It can be good, but also you have to be careful with it because we are social creatures. You do need that back and forth with people. If you don't have the right fortitudes, you can literally denature into some weird, nasty thought. And because I'm now associating hermitry with Virgo, with Femcel, which is also incel, I think a lot of the issues that we have right now is because people are not in community, people are not touching grass, people are isolated in their thought and they're wallowing and they don't have the back and forth for them to be grounded with people. But then also, when I think of celibacy or hermitry, to be a studious, in a lot of ways, our scholars have been people who go into the monasteries, who are monks, who are nuns, and nuns are often depicted as what? Virgins, right? And then last, I think for this slide, is the concept of sex is an act of merging, where traditionally, heteronormatively, heteronormatively, when you have sex with someone, you literally create a life form that is a merge, which it is a mix of both of your blood, both of your genetic imprint. It is in that person. It's literally an act of merging. But I even think metaphysically, like when you sleep with someone, they leave an imprint with you. And this is where I want to go back to the isolation, right? A handshake and a conversation with a person is also an imprint. I just think that sex is more of like a major, deep, like embedded in you imprint. Therefore, and so like sex is an act of merging. And therefore, if you're not merging with anyone because you're celibate, because you're celibate, where's what I'm saying? If you've never merged with someone, you're essentially pure, or like you are purely yourself. There is no other imprint or influence of another person on you. It's just you. And I do think that's the part about like Virgo purity that is not really like this whole, oh, I'm clean. It's more so the concept of I'm fully me. I have no other imprint on me. It's just me. And I guess my hands because they're gooners. But yeah, that's what I think of. Let me make sure to read. Yeah. We also do the concept of being pure. Oh, wait, we already read that. Yes, definitely. 100%. Ooh, yes. Virgo is definitely the provider. You create a tie as well. What do you mean by that? This tie? Yes, I created this tie. Yeah, but that is part of like this whole femcel incel thing, which like I do think there's a time and a place to isolate, to go into yourself, have yourself like, okay, I'm not going to shame actually touching yourself, but you need diversity. And it cannot just be yourself. You can't be everything for yourself. You do need community. Yeah. And okay, now I have an actual example because I did do like the Madonna child motif with Jesus and Mary. And that I think is a healthy depiction of a Madonna and child because Mary was not abusing her child. That child was her child and it stayed her child. In the case of Gaia and Uranus, this is a major example of a mother wound because Gaia, all by her lonesome, decides, I'm gonna make people. I'm gonna make my baby. She makes a baby. It's Uranus, right? Uranus is not her baby. Uranus is her husband. But essentially, if Gaia is all by her lonesome, Uranus is a clone of her, right? Then Gaia and Uranus tag team. I don't know how else to say it. To make more babies. Uranus hates those babies. And something that I would like to see in media is that maybe Uranus doesn't hate the babies because they're ugly, because that's how they always say the story. He hates his babies because they're ugly. And like he feels shame because I do sort of kind of understand that. Well, they're inbred. Sorry, wait, that sounds so out of pocket, but no, I sort of kind of understand how like people, they see their children as a reflection of themselves. So when their kid doesn't look right or their kid doesn't act right, they're like, oh, this reflects badly on me. That's why like some people really do feel shame about having disabled children. Shame on you though. You should be shamed. There's nothing wrong with your child. But in this case, you're still like, I do shame Uranus for hating his kids, but I would actually like to see a story where Uranus hates the kids because the kids get to be kids. Uranus doesn't have a mother. Uranus doesn't get to interact with his mother the way you interact with a mother. But then he sees Gaia treat the babies as babies. Oh, okay. So I have to be your husband, which does play into like emotional incest and how like sometimes like the eldest daughter or like the person who's playing the role of their parents' emotional, I'll find it, lover or like emotional partner at the very least, is playing a role that their younger siblings are not going to experience, and there can be resentment there. I wish someone would make a story like that. But yeah, the concept of creation is very chaotic in a lot of ways. This is something I also said, I think, my God, people are slamming doors in my house. The creation stories are very chaotic, and often creation stories have the imagery of black. And I have a video, I think, about the phrase crash out, where I talk about the Trinity, the first three colors in our most people's language. In most language, the first three colors are black, white, red. And I think that there is a very Trinity nature of this because yin and yang, yin, the feminine one, is black. Yang, the masculine one, is white, right? So chaotic energy, there's a darkness in that because in a lot of creation myths, it has to do with like something like light being brought out of the darkness, and or it's supposed to allude to the fact that the womb is dark. But then it creates the light. So that would be yang. That's the white one. That's the masculine one. That would be Uranus in this case. And then red would complete the Trinity, and red would be the child. And I might get into that later, but also it has to do with angel numbers because 111, when you simplify it, it's only, not simplify. Its factors besides one in itself is 3 and 37, meaning there are 3 37s. So there was a 37 that decided to duplicate itself so that they could tag team make another 37. Now there's an angel number. There's trinities in the angel numbers. There's trinities in color. There's trinities. And in fact, I guess I didn't talk about it because it's Mary Magdalene, not Mary Magdalene. Mother Mary, Mary the Virgin, and Jesus Christ. That's Madonna and the child. Technically, in the Trinity, God who opens her womb to make Jesus. That's the Trinity. Right. Anyways, now I get to talk about the color pink because I made this pink on purpose. Manic Panic Pixie Pink. So I see pink as a very feminine version of red. In tradition, because I talked about yin and yang. There's a version of yin and yang where yin is blue, yang is red. So red is often depicted as a more masculine color, but also pink used to be a more boyish version of red, like the child pastel, the muted, because in a lot of ways, when we dress up kids, we make them in the pastel colors instead of the bold, bright colors. But then at some point, it translated into being a girly color. And I do think it sort of kind of plays with the fact that children in general are very gender neutral. I think it's puberty where that divergence really comes, like becomes a real thing, like secondary gender traits show up. But then even, I would even say it's sort of kind of like a bell curve. Like children come out gender neutral, then puberty, your times, and then you start aging out of reproductive ages. And I think old people low-key also have a very gender neutralness, even though old men can have children. There's just like the gender expression starts to morph into each other again. But yes, I see pink as a very feminine, masculine color, but then also manic panic. It has to do with the fact, I think my personality has definitely changed. And also I understand that MTBIs are linked to eugenics, so I need to stop bringing it up. But it used to be one of my fun little hyperfixations, MTBI. I used to be ENFP. Pinkie Pie is ENFP. Her is an ENFP. Nobody else here. Oh, this one right here is ENFP, right? There's a manichood. It's yandere energy. There's a manicness in that, the manic pixie, and it's also sort of kind of violent. And also for me, when I get creative, I do kind of hit a manic period. I'm pretty sure I only had 4 hours of sleep because I was like, I'm going to make this video. I'm going to go on live. I'm going to finish this. So I'm technically manic. My creative energy, right? Chaos. My creative energy is very chaotic. It's very manic. It's very pink. So I tap into her. But then also, Wanda Maximoff in the TV show, she literally created a whole reality, right? And the version of Vision that was in her reality literally was drawn out of like the ether. It was literally, her magic is literally called chaos magic. She literally made a time stone. What are they called? The stones that are so important in their reality. She made one because it was in Vision's head out of her, right? The chaos magic. And of course, she's more depicted with red, so that makes her more akin to the child in this trinity that I've made up. But yeah, her chaos magic, but also the fact that she created Vision essentially makes her almost metaphorically, not directly, but if you think about it too hard, and that's what I do, that makes Vision her son. Right. But then also, I think Carrie, I'm going to bring up Carrie later, but Carrie's in this. Someone talked about how there were signs that Azula was struggling because there is like this overlap of the girl that is like the femcel, okay, incelhood, both man or female, there is like this conversation of like neurodivergence or not particularly knowing how to socialize. And neurodivergence is a status of othering. And when I bring up Carrie, yeah. I brought this one up because, she's also ENFP. Did I put her here? Her. Correct, yeah. And when she's in love with the Joker, I think there is a mania in that because also mania is also technically survival. And I do think survival, because she was in an abusive relationship, mania is often triggered by someone having information be input in their brain that like I have to go into survival mode. In a lot of ways, back to a video that I have alluded to where I think it was called Diarrhea of an Incel, and this man was talking about, but if you see your bloodline dying out, of course you would get violent, of course you'd get hysterical or whatever. And I've already picked at how that's a fallacy because when you die, there is no other version of you. Even your kid is going to be 50% of you. That's it. That's how it is, right? But I do think we are manufacturing a level of consent. We are manufacturing consent, but no, we are manufacturing scarcity. So a lot of people are going into survival mode when it comes to partnership and love because it's like, no, there's no love. I can't find anyone. So they're going into survival mode about it. And I do think there's a bit like mania, is specifically when your brain goes into survival mode. Then there's also her because like the neurodivergence and like the obsessive nature of love. And it is manic. Like it's that serious. Like it's life or death for people. I put Claudia here because she does sadly have a vaguely emotionally incestuous relationship with, I think, both of her parents. But also in season one of the things that she said, that really stuck with me was who's gonna love her because she looks like a little girl, even though I think at that point she was 30, right? And there's like a level of arrested development in, well, I've talked about how I think luminaries, which is what Leo is, but in this case I also think when it comes to neurodivergence, but then also like this whole the tag team of Virgo Leo, because those identities are really in sync in a lot of ways. There is an arrested development where it's like you're not really an adult, you look like an adult, you're supposed to be perceived as an adult, you're supposed to get adult stuff done, but it's not connecting. And I do think there, like, the concept of arrested development, which also connects to, I think, an idea of what did I say, nihilistic or nostalgic nihilism, nihilistic nostalgia, because even her going through all the TV shows, there was a nihilistic nostalgia, or like she was holding on to nostalgia, and like it was appeasing her to some extent, but it's not the right solution for her trauma, the right solution for her to heal, get past all the things that she's gone through. And then Pearl, because another mother wound. This is a mother wound. This is a mother wound. Her parents died. I forgot. Mother wound. My God. And when I say that Lestat de Lioncourt is a Scorpio moon, and I have put these two, I have put Azula and Lestat next to each other crashing out, because I'm telling you, when I see a Scorpio moon, I know a Scorpio moon. This girl right here needed help. Yeah, and Pinkie Pie. Okay, next one. When there's no... Let me get that water. I have little... I'm dehydrated. Oh, sorry. Let me read these comments. Yeah, no influence on you. The backstory would make more sense. Yes. Aggressive color. Chaos can be... Oh, you're ENFP. I love that. I know. I get that. Yeah, there's just like a very manic pixie dream girl about it, which is, I like being manic pixie dream girl. I don't like manic pixie girlfriend. I like being a dream girl for myself. I'm living my life. You know what I mean? Oh, wait. Yeah. But when there's no sun, there is darkness. So sun, I said female sun for a reason, because sun, S-O-N, and then sun, S-U-N, is homophones. And I just talked about Leo and its correspondence with the sun. And I think there is a reason, because this song in the Carrie the musical literally reeks of emotional incest, where the mother is just like, hey, like, if I have no one who is going to be there for me, I need you, blah blah blah. Their dynamic is almost adjacent to that of a lover. Like, if you were to listen to the song, and had I not told you that they're technically singing about her dynamic with her daughter, you would probably think, oh, it's a romance song. It's not supposed to. But yeah, this is where I'm just like, hey, something about the Femcel. Oh! My laptop's about to die. I don't know if y'all can see that. Okay, yeah. Something about... What was I saying? Something about the Femcel is very boy-mom coded. Or like the dynamic that the Femcel has with their mother is very boy-mom coded. But somehow the boy is actually a daughter. And there's a gender queerness in that. And that's why I brought up like Hunter Schafer. She is a woman. Duh. But there was a photo shoot that she did that people were like, oh, she should play Carrie. And I was like, oh, I like that. And then someone was like, no, because Carrie was supposed to be fat and they didn't even like make her fat. And I was like, oh, okay. So we should cast a fat trans woman, because when I'm telling you, like the Femcel, it's like adjacent to the concept of the other because of neurodivergence, because of desirability. I would even say part of desirability, like being othered, being marginalized. She could be trans. She could be foreign. She could be fat, because white America has always been very weird about body weight. Because I mean, everyone has been, but like, at least I know amongst black people, you can have a little something, something on you. That's actually a positive. The idea that pervades in their culture, where they have said you can never be too skinny, that's a why. You can. At that point, you're saying that if you could walk around being 5 pants, you would do that? What about that sounds desirable? Please. You can't be too skinny. Technically, you can't be too fat, but I do think we just like, we do too much. And also, we're like a Ozempic crisis. So, no, I think we do need to start shaming like this idea that skinny doesn't always equal better. Some people do actually genuinely, like, you look like yourself, you look better when you have a couple more pounds on. Please accept that. Please love that. Because it's actually even the same way how, like, I have met so many beautiful plus size women, and like, if they ever say, oh, I'm so ugly, I actually need you to be quiet. Because I think the word you're trying to say is that you're plus size, and I know that this is like a conversation about desirability, but how your face looks, they can never take that away from you. Okay, now we can discuss the desirability of body size, fine, whatever. But I actually do need people to stop using the synonym of ugly and fat. Like, those are not the same thing. Those are not the same thing. Those are not the same thing. And it drives me up a wall. Is it all under desirability? Absolutely. Is it all under lookism? Absolutely. But we've lost it. We have lost it. Every once in a while, we think you find it, right? The 2010s, people were getting the BBLs, which I guess was also problematic. But at least you were allowed to have some pounds on you. Now all of a sudden, it's like, no, I look better if I'm skinny. Who said that? Who said that? But anyways, Hunter Schafer, they were saying that she should play Carrie, and I was like, ooh, okay, so that plays into it, because also Hunter Schafer gets tied in with Sam Reed, also gets tied in with the I'm going to say actor because they're non-binary, of Rhaenyra Stark, the Targaryen from House of the Dragon, the main character, right? And then there's another one, but Connor Story from Heated Rivalry. They get paired up together, and they're just like, this is LGBT. And I'm like, oh, this is cute. Yeah, there's something about this light hair. Because Carrie's redheaded? Is she redheaded? No. Actually, I would even say the brunette, because the brunette in media tends to be the nerdy girl. In our classic Y2K media, the nerdy girl gets no play because she's not a blonde and doesn't have a figure, a showing figure. But yeah, anyways, back to the whole emotional incest thing. The day I decided I'm no longer calling myself a femcel was because I watched a video essay about the piano teacher, and they were comparing it to another thing, I think the taxi driver. And there was a scene where they sleep in the same bed. Her and her mother sleep in the same bed. Their dynamic is that of like the mother, like her child, the piano teacher, the woman, the child, right, is almost playing the role of a husband. And in one of the scenes, I don't even remember how it happened, but I just walked away going, so you sexually assaulted your mother? And of course, well, how much of it do I want to say is your fault if technically you're living in a very emotional, incestuous relationship? But also, I don't want to victim blame, but in general, it's just like, this is all so fucked up, and all of this could have been avoided if your mom had friends and your mom had an actual boyfriend and she wasn't having you play the role of her emotional keeper. So after that, I was like, yeah, I have mother wounds. Yeah, I had a hard time with my mom when I was growing up. Has never been that. And I will not claim that if this is part of the ethos. I cannot claim that, and I won't. But yeah, when there is no sun, I think it's gorgeous. And then when there's no sun, there is no one, there is darkness. It has a lot of sun motifs, but then also the fact that they bring up the number 1. Again, it's associated with Leo. But yeah, I've seen it. I think there's probably more that I could say, but I'm always expanding on my thought, so this is one of them. And I might do a part 2. But then now I want to talk about how Virgo's ruler is Mercury, and I don't know where I have this quote from, but I remember hearing it. I said, I know what you're talking about. And I can't find it. I don't know if they deleted it or I'm misremembering who said it, but I think it's either Indy 888 or Lauren Ash, where they said, these are my hot takes, I'm not going to explain it. Gemini and Virgo on the list. There was a list. On the list was Gemini and Virgo are the incels and femcels of astrology. I heard that, I said, yeah, and I can explain that. So, okay, in the case of anything in Greek mythology, it most likely is pro-shipping, but Mercury, depending on if it is rising in the morning or rising in the afternoon, it's either Hermes or Apollo. I would assume that the one in the morning is Apollo, right? Because that's the sun. But then also, I used to ship them, and I think I'm still on the fence because all ships in Greek mythology is pro-shipping. But I think I'm going to be on the fence on if I ship Hermes and Apollo because, right? But also, Apollo is a twin. He's a twin with Diana? Artemis. I forget Roman and Greek names. But yes, Apollo is also a twin. I do think that sort of kind of plays with the fact I'm talking about Gemini. But then, yeah, Mercury is often a trickster god. Mercury and even like its other correspondents, I would say Loki. Even though it's on the fence. Again, it just depends on the context, the angle, the perspective you want to use. But Hermes, Mercury, Loki, Anansi. I would even say Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny, they have trickster energy, and a lot of times they will switch it up. They do drag. There's a gender queerness in drag, even if it's like, no, I'm a man. I believe you, and you dress like a woman. I'm not taking away from anything you're saying. I'm just saying that you like to get up in a very exaggerated presentation of femininity. Is that not an expression of gender queerness? And I'm not saying that that's your identity. I'm just saying that that action is very genderqueer. Positive. I think I might be low energy, but it's okay. I'm going to keep going. Then I also wanted to talk about the Sphinx. Oh, I forgot to say. Gaia and Uranus is very Pygmalion. I'll expand on that, I guess, another day. What? Oh, yeah, okay. The Sphinx. So I was told that the cusp between Leo and Virgo is very Sphinx energy because the Sphinx, in Egypt at least, is the body of a lion, the face of a maiden, right? So the maiden part, that is Virgo, the lion part, that's Leo. But as I said, sex is an act of merging, and it's not inherently always, because I'm thinking of like Monster High had at one point, they did a fusion of each other, and obviously that's not what they were insinuating. But when I think of like the whole concept of merging a lion and a maiden together, I am thinking of the Full Metal Alchemist, the baby girl whose dad was evil and vile and nasty and should have been shot. I don't know what happened. I haven't watched the show, but I know that it's like literally like a very traumatic scene in the series where that baby girl got merged with the dog for whatever reason. I don't even know the reason why it happened. But when I think of the Sphinx and how I'm talking about, hey, like these dynamics, very incestuous. Sex is an act of merging. So you got a lion with a maiden head. And that literally is a symbol of, like, it could be alluded to as the cusp or literally the merging of Leo and Virgo. Right. And then I also have this one right here because I did bring up Princess Bubblegum. Princess Bubblegum is very Virgo coded to me. Yeah. And this thing that was weird. And she literally used her DNA to make it. That was weird. All right. Yeah, okay. I think I had something else. Oh, the fact that Sphinx do riddles and stuff. So it's like sort of kind of playing on like the magic motifs. Mercury, it's tarot card associated is the magician. I didn't put it here, but yes. This is sort of kind of where I went, oh, like this goes deep. Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off. Okay, so I had 3 songs in here. Hands off, Gabrielle. So Archangel Gabriel is known as the messenger archangel. This is the one that sent messages to Gideon, sent messages to Joseph, sent messages to Mary, right? In Supernatural, he was also known as Loki. Loki, season 1, self-cessed. Oh, okay. Right, also something that I do think Hermes is also the messenger god, goes back and forth, up and down the Mount Olympus to send messages to the human, send messages to the human world and back. Right, so Hermes, Mercury, Gabriel, Loki. There's another one. Gemini, a bit. I met a boy named Gabriel who was a Gemini. I only knew him for maybe 10 seconds. But I was like, hey, there's a synastry in there. I was so excited to tell him about it too. But actually, we want to talk about Gabrielle. And also, I will say, a lot of these motifs actually show up in my life. I did say that I stopped calling myself a femcel for the specific reason of piano teacher, but a lot of these motifs show up for me. I've talked about it. My moon is in Leo. My Venus is in Virgo. I'm not going to give you my legal name, but you can find it if you really want to find it. I'm not against you finding it. I'm just saying you're going to have to work for it. My name, my mom's name, her sister's name, my best friend's name. There are a lot of synastries. For me, I just don't talk about myself that much. But yeah, Gabrielle from Interview with a Vampire, and we get to see it. Another 7 deadly sin, envy. And I struggle with envy. Not really gender envy. I think I'm very blessed to be a woman. I'm very happy. Would it have been nice that I can feel strap? You know, like I can't, if I have a strap, I can't feel it. So would it have been nice? Yeah, but I could survive because I got what I got. I can use that. I'm grateful. But yeah, she has gender envy, and I do think I don't specifically know the complete dynamic. I know that it's a bit of gender envy. There might actually even be gender queerness. This could be actually a transmasc person. I don't know how the language is going to show up, but there's also a level of entitlement, but also I think she does see Lestat as an extension of her. Or like, I think what I've heard is that she would let Lestat run wild, do whatever, because it was like she gets to live vicariously through Lestat, which I do think that's definitely a part of it. But yeah, Gabrielle, Loki. There's another one, Hermes. But yeah, hands off Gabriella. Oh, the reason why I have hands off Gabriella was at the time where the first trailer dropped, the actor Sam Reed talked about how he watched the documentary about the creation of a cat's eye, and I went, oh, okay. And I did play with that just a bit because the first trailer, she was hooking up with a girl, and I couldn't tell who the girl was, so I thought it might have been Lestat. I was like, there's no way, ain't no way, please, no way, no. It wasn't, thank God, but it's gonna be nasty. I'm excited for this season, but I'm also not excited for this season. It's gonna be god awful. I already know. There are gonna be nights that I'm just like, and I'm gonna have to go to bed and sleep this off and or cry. Because, I mean, there was another trailer where he was like, anatomically, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna leave space that's a trauma response, because I think a lot of people, Lestat is a slut. Okay, that's true. When it comes to his mama, though, that is not his fault. I hate Lestat. That bitch can die today. If we talk about his mama, all of a sudden it's like, I actually have to chill off you because that's not your fault. That's not your fault. And even if it's like, oh, you're okay with it now, like that's grooming. That's literally what did they call it? Like when you're exposed to something, then it becomes your normal. I talked about it. Where did I talk about it? Oh, no man is an island. Yeah, no. But yeah, I haven't read the comments in a while. Chaos can be creative. Ah, yes. In Precious, when the mom says, who go and love me? Yes. Oh, wow. You're a junior? Technically, yes, I am a junior. And also, I'm the firstborn. So in a lot of ways, the Madonna child motif, that's me and my mama. But I'll be damned. I will be damned in hell. Trust. I don't like how like it could easily just go into, no. I'm running a tight ship. I don't like that. Okay. So twin flames. And this is where it's just like the uncanny, or how everything is a reflection of everything, but it also isn't apples to apples. I like to say apples to oranges, but even if it's apples to oranges, sometimes it's like apples to watermelon. Like it's a fruit. It's sweet. It might be the right color, but it's not the same thing. I made a video, and I think it's going to be in the next slide, where I talked about Naruto, because the card associated with Gemini, the twins, is actually the lovers. Oh, I didn't censor that. You think they gonna jump me? Oh well, I did the best with what I got. I said it wasn't for kids. is the love. Oh yeah, the Gemini twins are also known as the lovers, and I do think of like the phrase twin flames, which apparently you're actually not supposed to be with your twin flame, and I think that's fair because it's called a twin flame, right? But I even think I've talked about it, but like how it's like my brother is another version of me. There's even like a rapper, but I think he's a predator. But my brother is in those spaces, so he's showed me something where someone said, "I thought that guy was my twin. He was in love with me." There's something about like twin energy outside of twins, because I'll say I don't really want to speak on how twins act or whatever, because it's almost like how I feel about homeschool kids, where it's like I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that if I saw this outside of y'all's dynamic as homeschool kids or twins, I would be a bit concerned, because normal I won't say no, I'll say kids who are not twins or kids who are not homeschooled don't act like that. So if they did act like that, I would say, oh, that is a red flag. But that's for y'all. That's for y'all. Right? But I also think of how the twin sign Gemini is associated with the Lover's card in the tarot card, and it literally has Adam and Eve. And again, back to the whole thing about if you created it out of another person, there's no genetic variation. I do think you could have a conversation about, hey, mutations happen. So even if y'all are genetically the same person, like technically if you're exposed to a different environment or you're exposed to something else, you would end up being genetically different, I guess, epigenetics or something. But yeah, essentially she was made out of his rib, so y'all are genetically the same thing, right? Right. And this is where I wanted to bring up like the whole sibling or dating thing. I think, oh, it also sort of kind of connects to the concept of how guys will date people who look like their mom. I think it's a reflection of self-cest, but also the fact that in a lot of ways, part of attraction is familiarity. Back to the uncanny though, that there is a point where it gets like it's too close, but then it's not close enough. There's something off because it's too close. I think something about sibling or dating someone that looks like your mom is literally a version of uncanny, because it's like, oh, okay, they sort of look like your mom, like they have the same hair color. Okay, now their face looks the same. Now their body size looks the same. They have the same personality. No, 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 no. But then also sometimes in my mind, because I've seen some like, oh, like I look like your mom, and all I'm seeing is like, well, then you sort of kind of look like him, because again, this is where I'm like, it is technically self-cest. If a man looks like his mom, but like he's the male version of his mom, and then he dates someone that also looks like his mom, technically he's dating the female version of him, but maybe you can see that they look more related because they're the same gender. It's not really me excusing it. I'm just saying that it's all forms of narcissism. Narcissism is inbreeding us. It's so weird. Like, please, can we be aware of like maybe he's looking for a girl version of himself. He's looking for his twin, but then that's also, it's just weird. I will say, on my end, I like pretty boys. Everyone in my family is pretty. If you look like my family though, that's a no-go. But I like on my like I'm looking for a reflection of myself. I'm pretty. My boyfriend's gotta be pretty, or my girlfriend. My girlfriend's gotta be pretty, or my husband or wife. You know what I mean? Because pretty, I'm pretty. We're pretty. Our children will be pretty. My dad's pretty. My mom's pretty. My brothers are pretty. My sis. Yeah, I have sisters. My cousins are my sisters. Yeah, yeah, my siblings are pretty. But yeah, the whole sibling or dating thing, because at one point because I had like a little cheeky joke, I think maybe 3 years ago, where I was just like, yeah, no, white gays are a bunch of narcissists because they're trying to date themselves, like Narcissus. But then I was like, actually, no, that's just all over the place. Like the sibling or dating thing is literally that thing. But yeah, also the whole concept of the fraternal or identical twin, because I will even say like Cersei and Jaime are obviously fraternal twins, but she said in earlier life they could not tell each other apart. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because I do think Cersei also exhibits signs of gender envy. And of course, I think it's a little bit fair if you're being mistreated for being a girl, that you're like, I'm envious of literally my twin that looks exactly like me, but they have different secondary gender traits, getting to live a life that they want to live, but I'm withheld from living my life because I'm a girl. But then also the weird entitlement and not really being able to differentiate that your brother's their own person. They're not an extension of you. Because I do think Cersei, oddly enough, also has that where she's like, yeah, my brother is me. I am my brother. No, you're not. You're yourself. But I think she needs to live vicariously through her brother because she wants to be a boy. Just remembered in Old White Olderner, the mom has a child with a man who has similar features as her because she wanted to feel like the only parent. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, but that's because I forgot all the factors of attractiveness, but I do think there is one that is about familiarity, but also again, when does it become too familiar? How familiar is too familiar? Where's that line? Obviously, there is a line though. Let's not act like, oh, it's arbitrary. There is definitely a line. It might be blurry, but you can see it. There is a line. But it is more so like I think part of the whole familiarity thing is like, oh, you're comfortable with it because you already know it. It's already been a proven trait that is survivable, or it's like a good deeming trait. Let me think. I mean, for me, it's never been like I want this specific trait. Mine is pretty. Mine has always been pretty, and then maybe teeth. I have a thing for teeth. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then I get to talk about Naruto. Um,
Do y'all remember when the creator of Naruto revealed that he based Naruto and Sasuke's relationship on him and his brother, and we all collectively went, you should have kept that to yourself? Someone should have mentioned he was a twin sooner, because as a mono baby with siblings, me and my mom are like this, right? Me and my siblings are also like this, and we tenanted in the same womb at 2 separate times. So imagine the level of intimacy twins have sharing the womb, coming into the world together, right? With that being said, I'm still going to ship these two because if you put that level of intensity on non-related people, that's romance. There's a reason why the Lover's Tarot card is associated with Gemini, the twin sign. With that being said, if you're into TW insect or sums, and it involves twins, there's a special place in hell. It's a shame that we come in a society that bastardizes and perverts all levels of intimacy. Twins have a connection that if you're not a twin, you don't understand. So don't speak on it.
and that's part of the reason why I'm talking metaphorically. I'm not talking about real twins. I hope that is translating that I am not talking about real twins because again, I don't like that's their normal. It might make me uncomfortable, but as long as they okay and as long as they're not abusing each other, how's that my business? Also, some people get it, some people don't get it. They're like I think what 15K likes on it, so it's like I understand there's an audience that is receptive to what I said. Someone asked me what is TW insect twincest, and then some three sums involving twins. I don't play like that. I don't like the concept of being naked in front of your sibling, and even if y'all don't touch each other, you're watching them have sex. That's weird. It actually like sort of kind of sets me off. I don't care. The concept of like someone's like, oh yeah, I want to have a threesome with twins. Why? Like you have no respect for this family. You have no respect for this family. I literally hate it so much. But yeah, I don't play about twins like that. And I just don't. Like I don't talk about twins because it's like, yeah, they're a bit odd, but for the most part, as long as they have a healthy relationship, I don't care. That is their normal. But no, like, oh my God. People are so weird about them. That's why I said I want triplets. I know I want triplets. I don't want twins because I don't know. I don't know if I know how to handle that. Triplets though, and they all have their own face. Okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Naruto and Sasuke are based off of the author's he's a twin based on his brothers. And actually the brother also has he's made some anime. I don't know. How do I want to say? Japan has common stories about brother complexes, and I find that very interesting. Brother complexes, or even now that I think about it, oh my God, wait. Japan is weird. Like I knew that, but now that I'm thinking about, because I'm thinking about all these different cultures or whatever. No, Japan has remnants of like this is an issue. Because now I'm thinking about how like there are some stories where like there's a little brother that's obsessed with his sister, or like Yeah, there's just a lot of stories where they have brother complexes. And all I'm just going to say is just like, hey, like, not all of it's apples to apples, not all of it's apples to oranges. Sometimes it'll be apples to broccoli. Fine. But it grew out the ground, didn't it? So I can't compare it. And I do think to some extent, hey, like Naruto and Sasuke come off as very romantic because you put people who are not brothers in a dynamic that is adjacent to twins. Well, it's going to register as romantic. And then also someone did say that the reason why, hey, him and Hinata aren't really like clicking, or Sasuke, Naruto and Hinata, Sasuke and Sakura don't really make sense, is because these male authors don't know how to write women. They don't see women as real characters. So in a lot of ways, you get actually deep, real, intense, and emotional connections between two real characters, the two male characters, because they know how to write two male characters, but they don't know how to write women. So there, I mean, there's a lot of factors. Then I also wanted to talk about the concept of diverse love, because I am going to use a phrase, I'm going to use a psychological term wrong, but that is how I'm going to use it. It's called a love map. I don't remember how it's actually supposed to be used, but the way I think of a love map is that you spread a paper out and you have your own little island, or maybe you can have, yeah, I'm going to say island, or like you have your own little land mass. And at this place, it has like the trees or whatever, and that's where you explore your parental love. And then over here is a lake, and that's where you explore your other familiar, like sibling love. And then here is where you express, or like it's a desert or whatever, like another landscape, and that's where you experience friendship love. And then here is where you have romantic love. Then maybe there's a different one where it's like, I love you as a person, but like you're a casual hookup, right? And you have it mapped out and organized. You have all your different places where you understand, this is how I express love here, this is how I express love here, this is how I express love here. And you travel amongst all these different landscapes because you get to live in your land. It's your personal love map. Naruto didn't have that. Naruto was isolated. No parents, no friends. The whole community hated him. He had one person, which was the granddad, or the Hokage, the old Hokage guy. But everyone else hated him. So I do think by the time he finally got a friend, all of a sudden there is no map out. Like he's literally sifting through like a jungle, a desert, whatever, specifically a jungle. He's sifting through a jungle trying to make understanding of, hey, this is friendship love. Hey, this is romantic love. Hey, this is family love. So when Naruto is acting like, oh, like you're my brother, you're like my brother, and you're also my friend, which that's a normal connection, right? But how it keeps teetering into like romantic love and or sexual love is because that boy, like he didn't get to experience diverse love. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there's even a line somewhere where he's just like, yeah, you're like my dad. I wouldn't be surprised. Because that's what I think about. Like, I think it's very important to experience multiple types of love, and some people don't because they're being abused. And by the time they get a lover or they get a friend, it's disoriented. And I do think that's also part of the factor why Naruto acts like that. Like he's never had anyone up until right now. So he's going to experience everything that he can through Sasuke. And then I also wanted to bring up endogamy because I think that's the polite way to discuss incest, where it's not technically incest, but hey, you're saying that y'all share a distant ancestor and or y'all are marrying within the same family a couple of times within generations or whatever. Actually, no, I have a list. This is where I wanted to say simplify, because when you simplify things, it's so that you can better organize it, and one is a very simple number. I think my problem is that I often, at any time, always think that a community only has 10 people. And that's not how that works. There are thousands of people living, moving, migrating, exchanging, trading at all times. If someone is choosing to only marry, like generation wise, marry in, of course, actually there is a definition. No, it isn't. It's a marry in. It is rooted in tribalism, which I know that they will have, I won't say arbitrary because those rules do matter. There has to be a line where it's like, this is too related. This is far enough that yes, y'all share a common ancestor, but y'all aren't really related. So fine, whatever. That's why I don't play about tribalism. I think in a lot of ways we're just like, oh yeah, because you hate them because they're this tribe and they're like, y'all are holding on to mythoses that are not real. That's one of them. But also tribalism is one of the reasons why endogamy is a thing, because it's like, oh no, you have to marry within your tribe, which of course probably is like thousands of people, and you're not all directly related. You might have to do some to get to how y'all are related. But no, I think tribalism sort of kind of withholds people from expanding, because then it makes it more complicated. Again, like it's more so simplifying it. If it's like, oh, if you only have a dating pool and it's within this tribe, then it's simple, which I also think is what incels really want. They're just like, I want a woman that has this, and it has to be all like this. And it's technically not simple. I think opposing ideas are also very often the same thing, because it's like, oh, now it's complicated because now you have to date within this dating pool, but y'all are all distantly related. So now you have to figure out who's too related, who's related far, who's not related. Whatever. But no, I wanted to bring up how most cultures have rules, some looser than others. I am thinking about Sweet Home Alabama. But also, like, I do think that it's also part of why a lot of cultures have rules about no sex before marriage, because if it's like, oh, you're a small community and y'all are all distantly related, before you start engaging in literal life creating actions, you need to make sure that this is actually sustainable. I think that's also a factor that we don't think about in this modern age, because I have options outside of my family. Wow. You know what I mean? Or outside of my tribe. Wow. But then even Sasuke's parents are related. Also, I put the Uchiha and the Hyuga clan right here because I think in a lot, because I did see one Reddit post where they're like, so is Sasuke an incest baby? And I was like, probably not, but he's probably, I think, okay, because I think like what do you call the socialists, the anthropologists are like, no, endogamy and incest are not the same thing, but like, I think y'all are just trying to be polite. But yeah, no, both of Sasuke's parents are from the Uchiha clan, but the Uchiha clan was massive, so it's not like, oh, his parents are first cousins or even sister brother or even second cousins. They're just somewhere here and somewhere there. Yes, they share the same common ancestor. Fine. And also the same with the Hyuga clan. Also, apparently, I didn't get to make this about aliens. I forgot to bring up aliens. It's too late. Same with the Hyuga clan. And I do think also because in TV shows, simplifying it so that they can organize different storylines so they don't have multiple characters. We see what? Oh, well, actually, we see a lot of the Uchiha, because there was always a new Uchiha. There was Sasuke. What's his brother's name? That one. Then the ancestor. Then the one that we thought was dead. And I think there might be a fifth somewhere, right? And then the Hyuga clan, I think we only really see 3 of them. We see Hinata, her dad, and then her cousin. See how she wouldn't marry her cousin, but like in normal traditional, like keeping it within the family, keeping it within the clan specifically so that you can keep blood purity. You would find another Hyuga, but because the story is more so focused on Sasuke, no, I'll find it, Naruto, and like his little band of friends, you're not looking into the Hyuga clan so that you know that there's multiple kids within Hinata's age range that she probably would end up being betrothed to, because we simplified it. And again, this is my problem, where it's like at any moment, I think there's only 10 people in the story. And I think it's because I watch a lot of TV shows. So in my mind, I'm just like, you can't marry within the Uchiha. You're a Uchiha. Yes, there's like 10K of them. He can. Would I? No. And in fact, that was actually one of the things. I know what tribe I am. I know what sub-tribe I am. I know what clan I am. The rule is, I think you can't marry within someone, same clan, same sub-tribe. I met someone who was actually my tribe, which is really rare in America. And I made sure to throw in my tribe, my sub-tribe, my clan. I don't think I threw in my family because I actually don't know those details. Because there's one more. And he never got back to me, so I like to think that he just found out that we were related. So since he couldn't hit, he decided to ghost me. And I think about that because I'm just like, hey, like, you're flirting. But if we hook up, oh, it goes well. But then I find out we're cousins. I'm actually ripping out my uterus. I'm self-mutilating. Okay. That's my truth. No sex before marriage does sort of kind of make sense when it's like, oh, imagine hooking up with someone, you find out, oh, actually by like the religious bylaws or like by the traditional bylaws, y'all are actually related. I would have to go. That's actually so horrendous. And it's a story that happens every once in a while where people are like, oh yeah, like you hook up and then you find out, oh, that's my dad's secret baby. What? No. 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 Won't be happening. To me, no. It won't ever happen to me. But yeah, that's what I think about endogamy. I think it's a polite way to talk about incest, but that's what it is. Also, but positive news, good news, as of I think May 26th of this year, Sweden has ended cousin marriage because often cousin marriage is coercive. Like they coerce women to marry their cousins, and they ended that. That's another place that is known for endogamy or whatever. Yeah, good things, good things. I think that's it. No. Okay, I think that's it. Yes, thank you so much for watching. Oh, I think no. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I have more to say. I think there's a lot of things that I could go on tangents about that I haven't gone on. Because I even have a list of things that are like, how do I incorporate it? I did allude to it. I have something about The Lion King because there's some fan theories about The Lion King. There's also the demiurge, which is like a lion-headed snake tail thing. And I do think that's part of it. I just don't really understand how. Also genetics, the numerology, because I talk about numerology, 23 reduces to 5. 5 is associated with Mercury. But then also the other number, 46, that reduces to 1. And I do think there's something very genetic about Mercury. And I guess, yeah, because I'm talking about Leo, that one too. And then, Egyptian royalty. I have a theory about Egyptian royalty. It has to do with cloning. It has to do with blood purity, which is all on the topic. And also the Sphinx, sun worship. Yeah, I just didn't get to it, but I've alluded to it. Let me read the comments before I go. Can you talk about any symbolism you've noticed in the way some men create femcels, but by not putting effort into courting or honor their evolution? Courtship or their evolution. Yeah. How people, I think it's more so like the concept of like change is inevitable, growing is inevitable, but growing pains, like like growing can be very difficult, can be very tough, and it can be easy to just choose not to. But yeah, it's probably something I'm going to reflect on, and then I might see something and I'm like, oh, I can finally make like a full length video about this. But yeah, I could totally do that. Okay, enjoyed the live. Appreciate ya. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate y'all watching. And for the people who are watching back, yeah, make sure to comment. Make sure to subscribe. I'm also on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Substack. I have neglected my Substack. But if you like what I've done right here, I've done it before with Adam and Lucifer and Aries and something else. And then I have another one about Lestat. No, Interview with Vampire. But yeah, I have a lot. I might work on one because I have a video. I had a video, but I think I'm going to make it a Substack essay about Taurus. But yeah, let me see. Because the men are kind of creating the femcells by being off-putting. I agree. It's, okay, because I didn't know how it could make it about echo chambers. Narcissus also, the story of Narcissus has two other characters, the arch nemesis, or nemesis, where we get the phrase nemesis. And then it also has Echo, because after she fell in love with, I think, Narcissus, and then after he died, she died, repeating his last words or whatever. So that's where we get the phrase Echo. And in a lot of ways, when I think of Echo, I think about feedback loops. And in general, like the equation is off and we're cycling into each other. There's like a feedback loop. There's an echo chamber of some sort where it's like a bouncing off and it's making it worse, or like headache inducing. But yeah, that's what the original essay was about by the person who coined the term. Anyways, bye. Actually, I think I've forgotten how to end. No, I didn't. I know how to. Y'all have a beautiful day. Bye.